So just when you think nothing can go wrong. It is my privilege now to turn to the Distinguished Leadership Awards of the evening. It is a personal pleasure also to introduce the winner of the Atlantic Council's 2007 Award for Military Leadership. Oh no, I'm sorry. I do apologize. Things were going so well. And you should never really get a print journalist working in the sort of televised teleprompter age. Let me turn back over to my colleague, my friend, and the chairman of the Scowcroft Center, General Jim Jones.
Thank you, Fred. You might want to put that to music. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my turn now to present the Distinguished Leadership Award for the evening. It is a personal pleasure to also introduce the winner of the Atlantic Council's 2011 Award for Military Leadership, and this year it is being awarded to a very deserving and uniquely talented military leader, Admiral Jim Stavridis. In recent years, the Atlantic Council has given the honor to Admiral Mullen, General Mattis, and General Petraeus, all great, and General Abrial, all great American warriors who are part of the pantheon of superb modern military leaders. And I also think they join a group of leaders such as Grant, Eisenhower, and Marshall, people who not only served their country on the battlefield, but also left a larger imprint beyond the military sphere and left America and the world a bit better off than before. I think Jim fits the same mold. An officer firmly grounded in the naval and military arts, but who has also lifted his gaze above and beyond the military matters to take into account the political, economic, social, cultural, and geopolitical implications of his job. He is cultured beyond the art of war, a man who speaks multiple languages, has a distinct knowledge of great food and wine, is a gifted athlete who lettered in tennis and squash at the Naval Academy, and has a reading list on the NATO website, fiction and nonfiction, that even puts Oprah Winfrey to shame. When Jim took over the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe and as combatant commander of the United States European Command, the Washington Post called him a Renaissance admiral, and I think that's a real fitting description of Jim. He has commanded a destroyer squadron, a carrier strike group, and taken them on combat deployments and back. In short, he is a practical military leader, but he also authors 4 books. This is a book party tonight, don't forget. He is a believer in learning the ancient history and culture of America's partners and allies in order for us to better understand them, but he's also an avid user of the latest technology. In recent years, much of Washington has spoken about the importance of a whole-of-government approach, and that preventative operations and efforts cost less in blood and treasure than the combat operations which might become necessary down the road if you don't work on the front end of security problems. Jim, on the other hand, has acted on those ideas and implemented them in the real world. As commander of the United States Southern Command, Admiral Stavridis instituted and implemented a set of novel initiatives that not only brought a more cohesive focus to America's security and defense efforts in South America, but he also deepened America's relationship on that continent by capacity building efforts, joint exercises, and exchanges. Jim took over as SAC year at a momentous time in the alliance's history. NATO is currently facing the age of austerity with defense budgets shrinking across the alliance, and the alliance is busier than ever. Currently, NATO is engaged in multiple operations spanning the globe, including efforts to stabilize and rebuild Afghanistan, rebuild the peace in Kosovo, monitor and patrolling the Mediterranean as part of the effort against global terrorism, protecting Libyan civilians, counter piracy off the coast of Somalia, and helping to rebuild Iraq's security forces. Admiral Stavridis has handled these and other challenges with much aplomb. Despite the current challenges, I think NATO is in great hands with Jim as the skipper. The United States, NATO, and the transatlantic community are so very fortunate to have a leader like Admiral Jim Stavridis to help guide us through these very trying times. Jim, on behalf of all of us here, we thank you and honor your service. We congratulate you on this award. I'd like to invite you to please join me on stage to receive on the Atlantic Council's 50th anniversary, the Atlantic Council's 2011 Distinguished Military Leadership Award for your extraordinary service to the United States, the transatlantic community, and the world.
Thank you very much. Please, thank you very much. General Jones, of course, was SACEUR number 14. I am SACEUR number 16. And I would say between us, you have the long and the short of it. In fact, you know, I suspect some would say, as I de-elevated this microphone, that we were seeing metaphorically the decline of the alliance from this enormous point of stature to today's world. But I'm going to try and look a little taller for all of you. It has been an extraordinary evening, and I thank all of you for your attendance tonight. Above all, I truly thank General Jones for that wildly overgracious introduction. I, too, want to add my voice in congratulations to General Scowcroft, who has been also to me a mentor and a friend. Fred Kemp, who I think has energized this organization. Senator Chuck Hale, another mentor and friend, and all of the team here at the Atlantic Council. I also, in a point of personal reference, as former Senator, now Vice President Biden said, I'd like to acknowledge two former Secretaries of the Navy in the House, Richard Danzig and Sean O'Keefe. I worked for both of them. They are two wonderful, wonderful mentors of mine. Of course, as SACEUR, like General Jones, I have the opportunity to travel widely in Europe, and I get to go occasionally to the opera. And recently I saw Don Carlo, Domingo Placido, this is for you. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing tonight, but I do want to reveal that I have been quietly taking some opera lessons on the side, and I hope to come back here in a couple of years and live up to the standards of Edith Piaf, of Placido Domingo, and do La Donna Immobile right here on this stage in a couple of years. So, yeah. In all seriousness, I accept this award not for me. I am not deserving of it. This is an award that is representative of 150,000, that's 150,000 NATO airmen, sailors, soldiers, Marines who are on active service today in Afghanistan, in Libya, in the Balkans, in counter-piracy missions. This is an extraordinary moment for the Alliance, and on their behalf, I am privileged to accept this. I will tell you that I believe in this alliance. I think it is a fundamental plank in the transatlantic relationship about which Vice President Biden spoke so eloquently earlier today. I also feel that we are not simply focused on the missions of today. We are looking actively at cyber, at missile defense, at the increased use of unmanned aircraft, at new technologies that connect us. In all of these ways, this is an alliance that is not only performing operationally today, but is in every sense looking to the future. And in the midst of all our appropriate concern about the economic crises we face, let us not forget that this alliance, this NATO alliance, represents half of the global gross domestic product of the world. $32 trillion in GDP represented by the NATO alliance. 7 million men and women who are under arms, either active or reserve. Tens of thousands of aircraft, hundreds and hundreds of ocean-going warships. This is a very robust and successful alliance. And I will use my very brief remaining time to simply say a word about our most current operation, which is Libya. As we all know, we have been engaged for many years in Afghanistan. We've been many, many years in the Balkans. We've been at sea in counter-piracy. We are engaged in Iraq, training Iraqi security forces. But just over 5 weeks ago, this alliance took on a new mission to take and support the United Nations Security Council resolutions 1970 and 73 to establish an arms embargo, a no-fly zone, to protect the people of Afghanistan. And I would argue we have done that fairly well in the 5 weeks that we have been engaged in this mission. We have launched 5,000 sorties. We have conducted 2,000 strike sorties. We have almost 20 warships on patrol doing the no-fly zone. And I think for this American audience, it is worth highlighting that this is being conducted very much under the European side of this alliance, in the lead on the strike missions, and very much in the lead at sea. Of the 18 ships on station tonight, all of them are European. Of the strike sorties that are being flown this week, all of them are European or Arab. The United States is providing a vital role in intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, refueling. But this is very much the European side of the alliance stepping up and taking on this very challenging task. And I think performing it in an arms embargo, a no-fly zone, and indeed in this Protect the People of Afghanistan mission successfully. We are at early days in this operation, but my hope is that the NATO effort will create the environment which will allow the political, the diplomatic, and the economic efforts to create the conditions so that Libya can move forward. So that's a quick report on the latest operation. Only one of many, 150,000, who are tonight, while we enjoy and celebrate in this magnificent setting, 150,000 from 28 nations operating around the globe. On their behalf, I accept this award. And I will say in closing that tonight, men and women from across this alliance sail at sea, they fly in dangerous skies, they march down dusty streets, they climb high mountains, and they take for all of us the opportunity to preserve our freedom, which we cherish, and our lives, which they defend. On their behalf, I accept this award. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being with you. Thank you very much. Thank you.